Welcome to Progress in San Diego. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things. I'm your host, Walter Davis. This evening I have the pleasure to have Mr. Barry Pollard, who is a candidate running for the 4th City Council District in San Diego. Mr. Pollard, welcome aboard.
Walter, thank you very much for having me.
Really a pleasure to have you here, and we want to learn something about you and what your positions are. So, how does one decide to run for City Council? How did you get prepared for that?
Well, you know, the preparation, I guess, started years ago. I'm a native San Diegan, which is rare. I have lived in the 4th District for about 40-some years. I attended St. Rita's Elementary School, went to Morris High School, graduated proudly from Morris, and was pretty active in politics at that point, at that level. That was during the 70s, and the Vietnam War was going on, and a lot of social challenges were in front of us. I played football there at Morris, received a football scholarship, and went to school in the University of Louisiana in Lafayette. Graduated in 1976 with a bachelor's degree, and then started a career in human resources. If I were to point at one section of my life that prepared me from a technical standpoint, it would be my career in human resources. It allowed me to work with pensions, benefits, employment, and most importantly, it allowed me to interact and collaborate with all different kinds of people. Upon graduating, as I said, I went into human resources and then got an opportunity to work in various cities, various urban cities within the United States. And so made my way back to San Diego after about 10 or 15 years of traveling in cities such as Chicago, Washington, D.C., the Baltimore area, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Denver, and then finally back here to San Diego. So it is a story of someone starting here, traveling around, living in different parts of the United States, and then 10 plus years later show up back at home, San Diego, with a wife and 3 daughters, and have been here ever since. When I moved back here, I moved into an area that back in the 80s was a very rough area. And our family owns the home there, and when I moved back in with my kids and my wife, there was very high crime. We did not have street lights. I think we did have one. There was no sidewalk. And it was a pretty rough street. And so we started a neighborhood watch program, and we got together as a community, and we're talking about 7 to 8 households, and started to make changes within the community. And those changes included working with the police department. I was fortunate at that time to have a brother-in-law who was, I believe, a lieutenant or a captain on the force at that time. And working with the San Diego Police Department and the other families, we were able to shut down the majority of the crack houses. Working with the city back in the early 90s, late 80s, we were able to get speed bumps put in. We were able to get street lights put in, and we were able to get a sidewalk put in. The speed bumps were the last improvement we had made, because along with the closing of the drug houses and the other structural changes that were made, kids started to come out and play. I measure the health of our neighborhood by the children that are playing in the street, and by the number of trick-or-treaters we get at Halloween. And because the children started to play outside more, we needed something to slow down the traffic. So that's when we as a group decided it would be nice to have speed bumps, and we do have those today.
So in summary, what I'm hearing you say is that you have traveled around the country, you've worked in human resources, so you have a
Right.
perception of families and their needs, benefits, and how important those particular items are to people. And obviously we have this high unemployment situation and the bad economy in San Diego, so you certainly have an appreciation for what families can face in terms of losing their benefits. I'm hearing you talk about the crime situation, which still exists obviously here
Right.
in San Diego, but it appears as though you were able to make a great deal of progress in terms of making an improvement in your neighborhood, even without having an elected office.
Right. When you look at the crime, the way I look at the crime, especially in our district, there's a combination of things that need to happen. First and foremost, I think it starts with the families themselves. When I was a kid, I could not go too far away from the house, and one of my neighbors would call my parents if I was on my bike traveling after hours that was customary for me to be out. And my neighbors would grab me and tell me to go home. And I think somewhere along the line we've lost that neighborhood concern for a multitude of reasons. I do see it. I would like to see more of it.
Why? Why is that important now?
Well, because I think we really need to pull together in that district specifically, in District 4. We need to pull together and start looking after one another more. One of the things that got me involved in this recent effort to run for office is I get a feel that there are things that are pulling our community apart. I would love to see neighbors looking after one another. I would love to see that if someone's out weed whacking their yard, for instance, to look right next door and say, you know what, I think I could do 10 more minutes of this by helping my neighbor out and weed whacking their area. You know, someone that, because the streets don't get swept as regularly, well, I would like to see our community, and I have seen it, get out and sweep in front of their own street. And start taking more responsibility for each other. You know the old adage of it takes really a village to raise kids, and I think we really need to get back to that model. That family component is huge in managing crime. Secondly is I think the relationship between the police department, our community, and what I mean by community, I of course mean the parents, I mean the school, I mean the rec centers, that we all need to work together to get this problem under control. The police have done an excellent job in our community. I would like to see, again, more of the cohesiveness, if you will, between the community at large and the police department. You know, I've often wanted, as I've traveled in these different cities, I like the idea of having the police, for instance, just as an example, when they're filling out paperwork, it would be nice to have them get out, stretch their legs, and walk a neighborhood and get to know the folks in the neighborhood, because not all people of color in District 4 are the enemies of the police. And it would be nice if there could be a relationship between the cops on the beat and the people that live in that area. So that would give both elements more of a comfort level in which to work together. And I think those are the kind of things that are going to help the crime decrease and keep the crime lower. So those are just some of the thoughts that I had that working together, I think, and we are doing that, but I would like to see more of it, and I would like to see it spread. Well,
it's a very interesting concept to have policemen walking the street in the 4th District. So, where are you now? What do you see happening? I hear about the crime situation and 1.5 police. What do you see happening in the 4th District right now? What is your appraisal?
One of the things that I've experienced in my district is there's a passion and there's a vision. We know where we want to go as a community. I think about 5.5 years ago, that vision was much clearer. We had a vision for small business. We had a vision for education. We had a vision for the parks and libraries. We had a vision for economic development. And we had some very good leaders in the past that worked very hard to give us those resources. And over the last 5.5 years, I have seen our district consistently deteriorate and losing our fair share of services. I have seen our district lose resources. And I haven't seen much support coming out of City Hall. You know, my idea of supporting the district is a concept, and that concept is that representative works for the residents of the district, not vice versa. I would like to see someone in that office, preferably me, that removes obstacles that are preventing small businesses from being successful, removing obstacles that are preventing economic development and redevelopment within our area. What that looks like to me is going out and finding different resources. You know, the days I'm afraid of relying on City Hall to answer all of our questions, at least for the short term, are gone. You know, I would like for us to look at other ways in which to fund these different efforts, to fund parks and libraries. I would like to see a different revenue stream of redevelopment, and a redevelopment plan, a plan that includes mixed use kind of zoning. We have an area in the Imperial Avenue corridor that was once visioned as a Little Italy, if you would. What has occurred over the last couple of years is that it has been rezoned. So it is no longer mixed use, but it is residential. And that inhibits small businesses in that area. There was some effort some time ago, I'm sure you read or others have read in the newspaper, about the lack of support for the Southeast Development Corporation. And the SEDC is an organization that was created by Leon Williams, and the vision of that organization was to provide focus, redevelopment focus, on our districts, on our communities. And there was some talk of moving that downtown. That would have been counterproductive. That would have been disastrous. And it's those kind of views, of visions that I want to rekindle. I want to get us back on track, and not have a leader that seems to be more interested in other things outside of the district rather than the people that got him in office. And I want to be closer to the residents. I want to be focusing on every day I get up to think about what am I going to do for the district, because that would be my job. It would not be to cater to any other outside resources, but to focus on what's best for my district and balance that collaboration with my colleagues in City Hall.
Certainly, it appears to me that, and looking at the voting record and the things that are coming out of City Hall, it certainly seems like the representatives or representative that we have in the 4th District now has not looked out for the well-being of many of the people there, the crime level, the poverty level, the way business has declined. And you've enumerated a number of things in terms of how the area has lost services in that capacity. You have a section on your website about symptoms of a community in decline. Can you elaborate on that some, please?
And that's what I was referring to earlier, about the decline of our community. You know, I mentioned SEDC. There are a number of nonprofit agencies that I think need support. I think that the support I'm talking about is management support and support that the office of the council person has done in the past. I mean, that's my definition of it, and that is to find other resources to help these nonprofits become more successful. To look for different sorts of funding, either from different philanthropic entities or maybe some federal grants. You know, one of the things I am very interested in is the green technology and the green industry. I think that there's a multitude of opportunity to train folks. ECC is doing that, the Educational Cultural Complex, and they have programs that are training our youth and our young adults to become better skilled at retrofitting homes, putting in insulation, retrofitting windows, and those kind of things. I guess I would like to see one day our district become the green district of San Diego and require a higher level of development entities coming into our district, that we hold them at a higher level. Because the end result is we benefit from it. We benefit that our carbon footprint is less, that our monthly electric bills will be less, and we will have something that is unarguably positive for our district. I think there has been, over the last years, as long as I remember, there has been this appearance that Southeast San Diego or District 4 has gotten bad negative press. I don't know why that is. I have my thoughts about it. I don't have any data on it, but excuse me, I would like to see a more balanced perception of Southeast San Diego. I would like to see maybe some of the good organizations and the good schools and the good accomplishments of our residents be more highlighted, rather than gang activity, shooting, drug use, or robberies. You know, that is sort of the type of decline, and I would like to see that turned around. You know, I would like to see the services that are paid by our taxpayers, that other communities also pay. I would like to see us get our fair share of those services. I would like to see our community get their fair share of capital improvement projects. I would like to see our citizens get a fair share of the deferred maintenance, potholes, just the basic kind of skills that our taxpayers pay as well. And I think one of the role of the councilman is to make sure that squeaky wheel is squeaky enough, if you will, that we get the services that we deserve. We deserve more of those services.
Well, that's great. That's good to hear. Now, we're coming down to the last part of this interview. Time went by quite fast. What do you want the public to do to support you? And what do you need people to do now? And when is the election going to occur?
The election is June the 8th. And that's a good question. This is, I guess, what I would want. I would certainly want the residents of the 4th District to become educated voters, not to take the word of any of the candidates, but to do their homework, not to accept and not to be hoodwinked and bamboozled by some of the one-liners. What I would like to see is for the residents to get on the internet, to ask for data and facts when statements are made by either the incumbent or myself. I would like to see the voters and the residents specifically, register to vote. That is critical. It's critical because the demographics are changing. We are not a voice in City Hall because historically we have been low voters. I think what needs to happen is we need to register people, and we've been doing that. I think that we need to get people to the polls and encourage them to vote. And the last thing is I really want the residents of the district to be passionately inquisitive about their next leader and hold that next leader accountable for the actions that they do in the district. The people that put and will put the next person in office. They are the bosses. They are the people that sign the councilman's check. And they should be respected that way.
Well, that's quite powerful. And you need to direct some of those people to me so that I can highlight them, the ones that are doing positive things in the community, because that's what we do here. We try to cover positive stories here and positive people that are working within the community. And so I'll certainly support you in that effort.
Great. Thank you very, very much. And thank you for inviting me here and allowing me the opportunity to meet you again and to use the public access system. I've always been a fan of it. And I was speaking with folks earlier before the taping began that this might be a good vehicle in which to consolidate all of the events that are happening in the district once a week, twice a week, and to give our district another central place in which to share information. We have 2 very good newspapers and a very, very good gospel radio station. And I think that 4th leg might be television. But we'll see, and thank you very much for having me here.
Well, and I hope that you also expand that further and become part of the Citizens Internet Television Network, because as you know, we are broadcasting live now on the internet.
Right, I noticed that.
We have 2 channels broadcasting right now, and we can reach up to 100,000 people with our broadcasts around the world. So not only can you transmit your message within the district, but we're talking about taking it on a global level.
Good deal.
Which could also be intrinsic in expanding your renewable energy program that you mentioned.
Exactly. I think that whatever vehicle we can use, we need to get the word out. And we need to work aggressively at doing that. Our community is thirsting for more internet connections and thirsting for becoming more educated in the advantages of the internet. And I think we're moving. There's some groups over there that are really moving towards that. We had a very good computer fair, if you would, last week that was very, very interesting to me. And I'm familiar with computers and technology. But I noticed a lot of senior citizens in the group, and I saw a lot of schools and younger people, and that's what I love to see. I love to see technology work for the betterment of all people, and in my district specifically.
We're down to our last 3 minutes. Can you, in like 30 seconds or so, make your final statement to the public now?
Sure. My public are the voters and the residents of the 4th District. And I have had an opportunity to visit hundreds, thousands of homes in the district. I am asking for your vote. And I'm asking for your vote because I think I could put us back on track towards the goals and the visions that our former council members had us moving towards aggressively and effectively. I think we can no longer afford the ineffectiveness, no longer afford the disrespect, and no longer can afford us going in the wrong direction. We cannot be in this shape 4 more years from now, because that would have given us a full decade of backsliding, a full decade of decay. And I am asking for your vote so we can get back on track and we can move in the direction that I think all of us want and all of us deserve. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. And I want to thank the audience for watching this program, and I hope that you'll become part of our crew. We have an all-volunteer crew here with the San Diego County Community Coalition. You're welcome to come aboard. We broadcast every Sunday here at 5 p.m. on Cox Communications. You can also find us on the internet, and information about that and how you can get in touch with Mr. Pollard will be available on the website as it comes up at the end of the broadcast, and my telephone number will be there. Please give me a call if you wish to speak to Mr. Pollard and pass on a message to him. I encourage you to also look at the broadcasts on internet television, which is recorded on a number of our different websites that we have available within the coalition. And remember, we try to cover positive stories here. We try to focus on ordinary people doing extraordinary things within our community. My name is Walter Davis, and I'm your host. I hope that you're able to come back and join us in the near term. And please tell your friends and tell other people about this program. And feel free to come out and join us. We're going to have 10 programs on the air by the end of this year. We're expanding tremendously, and really appreciate you. And our focus, once again, is on positive stories and ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Thank you very much.